Nehemiah 5. Nehemiah's concern for the poor. Some of the men and their wives complained about the Jews in power and said, "We have large families and it takes a lot of grain merely to keep us alive." Others said, "During the famine, we even had to mortgage our field, vineyards, and homes to them in order to buy grain." Then others said, "We had to borrow money from those in power to pay the government tax on our field and vineyards. We're Jews just as they are, and other children are as good as theirs, but we still have to sell our children as slaves, and some of our daughters have already been raped. We're completely helpless. Other field and vineyard have even been taken from us." When I heard their complaint and their charges, I became very angry. So I thought it over and said to the readers and officers, "How can you charge your own people interest?" Then I called a public meeting and accused the leaders by saying, "We have tried to buy back all of our people who were sold into exile. But here you are selling more of them for us to buy back." The officers and leaders did not say a word because they knew this was true. I concerned, "When you have done is wrong. We must honor our God by the way we live, so the Gentiles can't find fault with us. My relatives, my friends, and I also I are also lending money and grain, but we must no longer demand the payment in return. Now give back the field, vineyard, olive orchards, and houses you have taken, and also the interest you have been paid." The readers answered, "We will do whatever you say," and return their property without asking to be repaid. So I made the readers promise in front of the priest to give back the property. Then I emptied my pocket and said, "If you don't keep your promise, that's what God will do to you. He will empty out everything you own, even taking away your houses." The people answered, "We will keep our promise." Then they praised the Lord and said as they had promised, "Nehemiah is generous." I was governor of Judah from the 20th year that Artaxerxes was king until the 32nd year. During these entire 12 years, my relatives and I refused to accept the food that I was allowed. Each governor before me had been a burden to the people by making them pay for his food and wine and by demanding 40 silver coins a day. Even their officers had been a burden to the people, but I respected God, and I didn't think it was right to be so hard on them. I spent all my time getting the wall rebuilt and did not buy any property. Everything working for me did the same thing. I usually fed 150 of our own Jewish people and their leaders, as well as foreign visitors from surrounding lands. Each day, one ox, six of best sheep, and rest of chickens were prepared. Then every 10 days, a large supply of wine was brought in. I knew what a heavy burden this would have been for the people, and so I did not ask for my food allowance as governor. I pray that God will bless me for everything I have done for my people. Nehemiah 6. Plot against Nehemiah. Sanballat, Tobiah, Geshem, and our other enemies learned that I had completely rebuilt the wall, what I lacked, and hanging the doors in the gate. Then Sanballat and Geshem sent a message asking me to meet with them in one of the villages in Onad Valley. I knew they were planning to harm me in some way, so I sent messengers to tell them, my work is too important to stop now and go there. I can't afford to show down the work just to visit with you. They invited me 4 times, but each time I refused to go. Finally, Sambarch sent an officer to me with an unsealed letter which said, a rumor is going around among the nation that you and the other Jews are rebuilding the wall and planning to rebel because you wanted to be their king. The Gasham says it's true. You even have prophet in Jerusalem claiming you're not now the king of Judah. You know the Persian king will hear about this, so let's get together and talk it about. I sent a message back to Sambartar saying, none of this is true. You're making it all up. Our enemies were trying to frighten us and to keep us from our work. But I asked God to give me strength. One day, I went to visit Shemaiah. He wasn't supposed to leave his house, but he said, let's hurry to the holy place of the temple and hide there. We locked the temple doors because your enemies are planning to kill you tonight. I answered, why should someone like me have to run and hide in the temple to save my life? I won't go. Suddenly I realized that God had not given Shemaiah this message, but Tobiah and Sanballat had paid him to trick me and to frighten me into doing something wrong, because they wanted to ruin my good name. Then I asked God to punish Tobiah and Sanballat for what they had done. I prayed that God would punish the prophet Nadia and the other prophets who, together with her, had tried to frighten me. The work is finished. On the 25th day of the month, or the wall was completely rebuilt. It had taken 52 days. When our enemies in the surrounding nations learned that the work was finished, they felt helpless because they knew that our God had helped us rebuild the wall. All this time, the Jews leader and Tobiah had been writing letters back and forth. Many people in Judah were loyal to Tobiah for two reasons. Shechaniah, son of Arah, was his father-in-law, and Tobiah's son Jehohanan had married the daughter of Meshullam, son of Berechiah. The people would always tell me about the good things Tobiah had done, and then they would tell Tobiah everything had said. So Tobiah kept sending letters trying to frighten me. Nehemiah 7. After the wall had been rebuilt and gate hung, then the temple guards, the singers, and the other Levites were again assigned their work. I put my brother Hanani in charge of Jerusalem along with Hananiah, the commander of fortress, because Hananiah could be trusted and he respected God more than most people did. I said to them, "Don't let the gate to the city be opened until the sun has been up for a while, and make sure that they are closed and barred before the guard go off duty at sunset. Choose people from Jerusalem to stand the guard at different places around the wall, and others to stand guard near our houses. A list of exiles who returned. Although Jerusalem covered a large area, not many people lived there, and no new houses had been built. So God gave me the idea to bring together the people and their leaders and officers and to check the family record of those who had returned from captivity in Babylonia after having been taken there by King Nebuchadnezzar. About this same time, I found the record of those who had been the first to return to Jerusalem from Babylon province. By reading these records, I learned that they settled in their own hometowns, and that they had come with Zerubbabel, Joshua, Nehemiah, Azariah, Ramiah, Nahamani, Jordekai, Bilsham, Misperth, Bigbai, Nenun, Bana. This is a list of how many returns from each family group. 2172 from Parush, 372 from Jepatya, 652 from Ara, 2818 from Pahath Noah, who were all descendants of Jeshua and Joab, 1254 from Aram, 845 from Jetu, 760 from Jakai, 648 from Binui, 628 from Bebai, 2322 from Ajagad, 667 from Adonikam, 6067 from Bigbai, 655 from Adin, 998 from Ataro, also known as Hezekiah, 328 from Hashum, 324 from Bejai, 112 from Harib, and 95 from Gibbon. There is a list of how many returned whose ancestors had come from the following towns: 188 from Betaletem and Netopai, 128 from Anatos, 42 from Beth Ajamabath, 743 from Kiryas Jearim, Chepira, and Beeroth, 621 from Ramah and Geba, 122 from Bikmas, 123 from Bedel and Ai, 52 from Nebo, 254 from Aram, 720 from Arim, 345 from Jericho, 721 from Lod, Hadid, and Ono, and 3030 from Senoa. This is a list of how many returned from each family of priests. 973 descendants of Jeshua from Jediah, 1052 from Immer, 1247 from Pashur, and 1017 from Harim. There is a list of how many returned from the families of Levites. 74 descendants of Hodeba from the families of Jeshua and Kadmiel, 148 descendants of Ashab from the temple musician, and 138 descendants of Shalom, Altar, Tamon, Akum, Hatita, and Subai from the temple guards. These are the names of the families of temple workers whose descendants returned: Jiha, Hashupa, Tabaz, Keros, Sia, Padon, Rebana, Hagaba, Sharmai, Anan, Gidel, Gahar, Ra, Regin, Nekoba, Jajum, Uja, Peria, Behai, Munim, Nepusesin, Bakbuk, Hakupa, Haro, Basilis, Mehida, Harshar, Barkos, Sisera, Tema, Genia, and Hatipa. Here are the names of Solomon's servants whose descendants returned: Sotai, Supirath, Periada, Jara, Darkon, Gidel, Shephatiah, Hatil, Porcheleth, Hajebaim, and Anom. A total of 392 descendants of temple workers and of Solomon's servant returned. There were 642 who returned from the family of Dalaiah, Tobiah, and Nekoda, though they could not prove they were Israelites. They had lived in the Babylonian towns of Tel Melah, Tel Harshar, Sharop, Adon, and Emer. The families of Hobiah, Hakaz, and Barzillai could not prove they were priests. The ancestors of family of Barzillai had married the daughters of Barzillai from Gilead and had taken their wives' family name, who the records of these three families could not be found, and none of them were allowed to serve as priests. In fact, the governor told them, "You cannot eat the food offered to God until He lets us know if you really are priests." There were 42,360 who returned, in addition to 7,337 servants and 245 musicians, counting both men and women. Altogether, they brought with them 736 horses, 245 mules, 435 camels, and 3,720 donkeys. Many people gave gifts to help pay for the materials to rebuild the temple. The governor himself gave 8 kilograms of gold, 50 bowls to be used in the temple, and 503 robes for the priest. Family leaders gave 153 kilograms of gold and 1,045 458 kilograms of silver. The rest of the people gave 153 kilograms of gold, 1,325 kilograms of silver, and 67 robes for the priest. And so, by the seventh month, priests, Levites, temple guards, musicians, workers, and many of the ordinary people had settled in the towns of Judah. Amen.